Hey everyone, thank you all for joining our earnings afters with Jack. Before getting anything, as a reminder, today's discussion includes forward-looking statements that are subject to risks and uncertainties described in our SEC filings with non-GAAP reconciliations available in our shareholder letter. Okay, so we did something new this quarter where we got some questions from X, and we thought we'd try something here to answer a couple of the questions that we didn't get to on the call last night. This will be very quick. I'm going to keep it to 10 or 15 minutes. Jack, thanks for doing this. I'll just get right into it. First couple of questions on Bitcoin and Proto. The first one on Proto. Love to hear how you're thinking about the opportunity for Proto going forward, given the current Bitcoin bear market, and whether we're thinking about any new initiatives for Proto based on the market, or just where your head's at there.
I'm still really excited about Proto. I think we are seeing some bearishness with the price, but I believe the utility of Bitcoin is important. I believe mining is a critical part of that because it is what truly secures the network. We have customers for Proto. I think we have an innovative product both in the hardware and also in the software. And I think also the application of Proto is going to be fairly unique. We're definitely looking at a lot of stranded energy projects. I think Proto enables a different sort of architecture than you would expect from a typical Bitcoin miner, which means that they can be a lot more decentralized and even mobile. And I think that's pretty exciting. I do believe that the interest in the price will bounce back with Bitcoin generally. I'm a believer in the technology and what it means for the world. And we're ready. I know we have the best system out there entirely.
Great. Sticking on Bitcoin for one more question. There's a lot of news last week with the security incident at a competitor. Just love to hear your thoughts on Block's response generally, and just like our resilience to these kinds of threats in the future.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I think our Bitcoin and security teams are world-class. The issue was not with our product. It was with a product elsewhere in the community, a rather niche one, and one that promised an extreme amount of security if you knew exactly what you're doing. And that promise was broken because the code didn't work according to that spec. Our team jumped right away when we started hearing reports that people were losing funds and losing Bitcoin, and investigated and reported to the company that made the hardware device, and also to authorities in hopes of tracking the person down and ideally returning Bitcoin, which we still have hope around. I think the most important thing about any cold storage / self-custody is that it's intuitive, it's transparent, it's accessible, and that's what we try to do with Bitkey, is just make it super simple, super transparent, and super easy to understand and keep in your head without having to learn any arcane aspects of cryptography or something derived from cryptography, just to keep peace of mind. So Bitkey's goal is peace of mind, and we do that not only with the application and the accessibility of the interface, but also because it's 3 keys. Block holds 1, you hold 2. 1 is in a hardware device, 1 is in your phone. That already gives you a lot more security than you would find in other services. But in this particular case, the amount of entropy, the randomness that was utilized to create a seed, which is the key to your Bitcoin, was not enough. It was coming from one single source, which was this hardware device. With Bitkey, you have entropy being created from 3 different sources: the phone, block, and also the hardware key, which again creates even more complexity in terms of hardening it so that people can't crack it. So Security is a race. You can never build a completely secure system. You always have to be 10 steps ahead of your adversaries, and that's exactly what our security and our Bitcoin team does. So super proud of them, and we're working hard to help the community and try to get back anything we can.
Yeah. And transitioning a bit, but staying on this theme, there's a few people that were involved in this work that talked about the role that Buzz played. And I thought it was really interesting seeing some of them say that Buzz helped them solve through some of these technical challenges faster. I'd be curious, like what about Buzz as a product makes it so valuable in a situation like this? Maybe not necessarily a security situation, but something that's like super technical in nature. Like what does Buzz shine? Like why does Buzz shine for something like that?
Yeah, I mean, just imagine any crisis. Imagine a family crisis that you have, a crisis at your company, a crisis with your friends. What is the first thing you do? You get into the group chat. You get into a group email, you get into Slack, whatever the venue is, and you start talking about it. The team did exactly that. They did it with Buzz. They could have done it with Slack. They did it with Buzz because they could include agents, all the agents we have access to, and especially those that are more apt at looking at security vulnerabilities. And they could have a conversation with them along with their other teammates. And they could do that within seconds. So not only could they have the conversation, but they could produce artifacts, they could produce code, they could produce reports, and they could do it in real time. And everything was on one plane with shared context, with shared memory. And I like it. It's pretty incredible to go through a security incident with this tool. Like we've thus far seen a lot of development internally with the tool, and I've used it personally for my own development. I know Matt has used it with his team, but to go to see like a security incident was pretty eye-opening because it really shows the strengths of like what you can do when you have agents in the mix. And yeah, I'm just super excited about what this means for us because I think it's inherently natural in terms of what people want to do when these situations occur, and certainly the everyday in terms of as you think about building what you want to build. Or what I'm most excited about is small businesses using Buzz to run their teams and to run their companies and to build things for themselves.
You talked a little bit about Buzz in that context on earnings last night, and there was a couple of questions that are somewhat related to this, which we'll probably end with. But how do you envision Buzz being used by small businesses? I think last week you were talking to some small businesses and getting ideas on this, but how, like if you fast forward a year or two or whatever in the future, how do you envision Buzz being consumed by Square customers?
Yeah, the thing is, I mean, anyone listening to this, if you go to a seller and you ask them how do you communicate with your team? You ask the owner that. Outside of the US, it's through WhatsApp. There's a very, very small percentage that uses Slack. It's just too much functionality for them. A lot of them use iMessage in the United States. They use email or they use like some random tool. So I think it starts with team communication. And if we can hook up all of your Square data and all of your Square context to Buzz for you, and you can put your whole team on it, and you can share conversations around how the business is doing, reports, even controlling things within the shop or shops, and even building tools where there are gaps or we're not producing a particular report or a particular feature. It's nirvana. And every single seller I've talked to is using some sort of group communication and is using some sort of AI, and they hate copying pasting to the AI into the group communication, or they're just not doing that at all but see the power of doing so. And we're talking to sellers, we're talking to some sellers who turned away from us, we're talking to sellers who are considering us. All of them want it in one surface. So that's the opportunity. It's line of sight, it's right there. It's just a matter of us making it feel good and feel really integrated.
Yeah. I will say, like, as not to advertise Buzz too much, but it's one of those things. Like, I would just encourage everyone who's listening to try it. You just feel it immediately, and it's just like it clicks as soon as you use it. Or that was my experience.
Yeah.
All right, shifting to Cash App. There's one on here. There's a few questions that were somewhat adjacent, and they're all tied around like how you're thinking about bundling products in Cash App going forward. Someone asked about title specifically, which we actually launched. I think it was last week. Like a more integrated title experience and a discount there. But more broadly, like how do you think about product integration in Cash App where there's just so much functionality in there now?
Yeah, it's very simple. I mean, I think we need to separate like the capabilities we have, which are the actions we can take, such as investing or issuing a card or peer-to-peer or phone plans, versus the interface, which is distribution. So the interface and that distribution is responsible for composing all of these capabilities together. And in the past, we would, top-down pixel design where these things fit and try to optimize for that. In the future that we're trying to create, that will be dynamic, and it'll be dynamic based on the intelligence we're building through MoneyBot. So it should be able to predict what you might need in front of you right now, based on what you're doing, based on data we have and understanding an event that took place, whether it be a payment or a deposit, whatever it is. We see all the inflows and the outflows, and we can introduce the right product, the right feature at the right time, and we can measure it as well. Like, did we introduce it at the wrong time? Did we insult our customer with the wrong introduction? Or was it right at the right time that they used it right away? They tapped the button or they confirmed it, whatever it is. So that's the goal, and that's what we're working towards. We're working on that from like a dynamic UI perspective. We're working on that from a proactive intelligence through MoneyBot perspective, but all of it goes towards that. And I think the bundling then will feel fairly natural. Like, you shouldn't see what is not going to be useful to you, and you should see exactly what would be useful to you right now and maybe in the future as well. So it solves completely our discovery problem. And the same is true for Square. Like, we're doing something similar with ManagerBot. Both of these interfaces will ultimately eat Cash App entirely and ultimately eat Square entirely, because they're just better. We can just get better predictions. And we have a deeper understanding of our customer more than anyone else, especially anyone external to our ecosystem.
It's funny. That was one of the questions I had to end on, was just how UI would change in this world of AI. But it sounds like it's somewhat infinitely customizable, dynamic, and always changing and generative is like a reasonable way to think about it.
Yeah, that's what we mean when we talk about proactive intelligence. Is it's not just like proactively reaching out and being smart. It's delivering interface. It's delivering features such that if you use the navigation, that's a failure of ours. If you have to use the navigation and spend time navigating it, we're taking time away from you. And our goal is always to give time back, both to our individual customers and our sellers.
All right, we'll end it here and with one more question, given the time. But what's the most important thing for Block to get right over the next 3 years to keep delivering the strong financial results that we've delivered in the past couple of quarters?
I believe continue to lead with these intelligence models that we're working on, because it solves all of our problems in an interesting and scalable way. And I think we are in a better position than most because we've been doing it for quite some time. We've been doing it with open source, mixed in with corporate models, and we have a deep understanding of like where to route these things, how to be agnostic, when to use the right tools, and just like how to use the tools in the first place. So I think all of it hinges on that, because that gives us the velocity. I think it also gives us the quality that our customers demand and make people say, wow, that's our goal. And I think these intelligence tools are getting more and more indistinguishable from magic. And our role is to make sure that they feel that way every day for our customer base, which are our sellers and individuals trying to manage their financial lives and grow it.
Making customers say wow, I think, is a good place to end it. Thank you, Jack, for doing this, and thank you all for joining.
Awesome. Thank you all.